Hello, fiber friends. Sharice Nicole of Sew Hooked on Treasures. Welcome to my channel. And in this video, we're going to talk about what I did with some of the check marks that I created with my tutorial on half rectangle triangles. They were part of the tutorial when we were doing the HRTs from this in check block up here. If you haven't seen it, be sure to follow the link and check that out so you can go through those steps and how we created these check marks. Well, I had some miscellaneous ones left over from that, and I would love to show you what I did with them. Are you ready? If you remember, these were the three additional checks that I had from my in-check quilt block. And I say additional because you have yet to see what I'm going to make with the rest of the check marks that I made for the in-check block. But I decided to do something a little different with these three. They were kind of lone check marks from the other project that I did. So I grabbed my trusty interfacing and this long sleeve t-shirt that I got at a local discount store. And I'm going to take these three check marks, add them to this shirt like I do in my other tutorial for how to add quilt blocks to apparel. And I'm going to apply that same technique, but instead of just doing it straightforward, adding the one block, I'm going to change it up this time. So I've laid out and washed my shirt, and if you notice that there is 2 spots on the shirt still, hence the reason why it was probably $2, but that's okay. I will take the discount and the marks because we are going to cover those up. With my check marks, I've already followed the interfacing instructions and adding the interfacing to the back. This helps to keep the blocks a little bit more stable, but yet with the woven interfacing that I talk about in the adding blocks to apparel, I go over all those details, but I've already added that to the back here, and I will be sure to add a link so you can check out that tutorial as well. But mostly I typically add them, straight onto the front or to the back. Well, we're not going to do that because these are smaller and we're going to have some fun with it. And we need to cover up these 2 spots. So I'm going to kind of use the blocks here and I'm going to spread them out. And kind of make a different sort of design. And then you can just play. This is kind of the fun of the creative process. You can play and do what you like, right? I think I'm going to put this one over here on the shoulder. That will cover up this mark here. Yes. And I will put this one over on the shoulder. And because it's going to go off onto the sleeve a little bit, I sew along this seam. When I sew it to the shirt, I will sew along that and then trim this after the fact. But I'm going to sew first and then cut. So I'm going to lay this check mark this way. I think I'm going to put this one here and kind of make like a curve. Make sure this check mark is covering up this spot and kind of put this one in the center. So kind of making like a little banner, an arch here. Yeah, I think I like that. So let me grab some pins. With my pins, I'm going to pin these in place. Just start with one. I have to lay it back flat just to make sure. Now I can, if I wanted to, let me decide. Do I want to slide this down so it doesn't go over the shoulder? I can do that. I'm going to keep it all in the front. It would be kind of cool to go over to the back too, but it's not going to show much and it might look kind of strange. So I think I'm going to stick to the front. Move this down a little bit. And then that means I'm going to move this one over just a little bit just to even it out. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now I'm happy. Let's try pinning again. Pin this one down here. Just to get the 1 pin or 2 pins in place. Make sure your garment stays flat. Now I'm going to go ahead and get these pinned and then show you a little bit how I'm going to go about sewing them a little bit differently this time. Do any of you have something similar on your sewing machine? My Janome Memory Craft has all these fantastic stitches. And as quilters, do we use them all? No, not really. However, when we're adding blocks to apparel, it's a perfect opportunity to do just that. So I'm going to play with a few of these to see what I like and what I choose. All right, there she is. I've completed my stitching all the way around. You can't see the spots anymore. Yay, all gone. I did, as I talked about, I sewed along the seam here, along that little bit of a bulk. So what I'm going to do is take my handy dandy scissors, and I'm just going to trim an even amount like I did the rest of the way around the block so it looks even. There we go. And now it'll be seamless against that edge there. So that's kind of a cool little detail that I haven't done before. Another detail that I added this time is I went with contrasting threads so they didn't blend in with my block. I went with a coral kind of color to match this coral color. I think it's called Sunset Miami, if I remember correctly, the AGF Pure Solid color. And then for the center one, I went with an off-white to match the shirt, the background of this, and then to match the lighter colors in the other two blocks. And then for the last one, I went with the navy blue to match the navy in this first block on the shoulder here. So I also only had 50 weight thread, and that doesn't show very well, and I actually wanted my stitches to show. I wanted to have that raw edge look and almost like it was hand sewn without hand sewing. So I went with a stitch on my machine that makes it look wider. You can also go with a thicker thread. That will help. So if you have a 24 weight, for example, thicker thread, you can go with those in order to get that wider look. You can also, if you want to go even wider, use the 24 weight thread with the stitch that gives you the thicker look, and boom, your stitches will really show. And it would look lovely. I think that especially with the contrasting colors, and that would really stand out and really give it that patchwork look and just stand out in the crowd. I wanted to give you an up close of my machine and a few tips on using stitches that aren't your straight stitch that you're used to. I chose number 5, and this gives essentially 3 stitches wide to give that wider look that I was going for, but still keeping with the straight stitch pattern. What I recommend you do is playing with those stitches so you know how they work on the fabric, so you don't go over, and to keep your stitches even all the way around. So here is a way to do that. In order to test out your stitches, take a scrap piece of fabric, and with your machine on slow motion, as slow as it can possibly go down, if you can possibly do that, you want to test the stitches to see how they work, to see where they stop, to see how the needle moves. So for example, I'm going to show you how this one works. And just in slow motion, it goes back and forth, so I know how many times it goes back and forth and forward, and then where the advancement happens. So it goes forward, back, forward, forward, back, forward. So I get that rhythm down, so that way I know when I get to a corner, I can slow it down, raise my foot, turn, and then continue on so I don't get the uneven stitches in those corners. It doesn't go back over, it doesn't go forward too far or anything like that. So I'm going to take this off so you can see exactly what I mean. All right, here are my test stitches. You can see I came all the way to the corner because I can time it. I know how my needle is going to move back and forward when it'll advance. That way I can get a nice even corner and not have stitches over on either side. Now, does it happen? Yes. Is someone going to notice? Maybe. And if they do, just tell them it's okay. It was a design choice. That's my creativity coming out. We're not machines, we're people. So we're going to have issues like that, and that's okay. All right, friends, here she is. I just had to try it on, see what it looked like actually on, and I absolutely love it. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That way, any new videos that pop up, you are notified immediately. If you have enjoyed this tutorial, then please be sure to like it below. Any feedback, drop them in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And also questions. I'd be more than happy to answer them. Again, I'm Sharice Nicole of Sew Hooked on Treasures. Thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to check out the tutorial on adding quilt blocks to clothing that has all the details on how to go through this process. And I hope you enjoy it and have fun creating and making.